I think you're right on time. And before we get started, I would like to ask our interpreter to walk through how to access our interpretation services for today's meeting. Please proceed.
Morning, this is the voice of the interpreter. To use the interpretation feature, please scroll to the bottom of the Zoom screen where the meeting scrolls are. Click on the interpretation icon, World, and select English as your language. If you are joining through the Zoom mobile app, cell phone, tablet, etc., please press the ellipsis, 3 dots, then interpretation, and then choose your language. Finally, click on mute original audio to not hear the original Spanish in the background. Headsets are available for interpretation. If you are in the meeting room, please check out a headset from the receptionist in the lobby. Buenos días, es la voz del intérprete. Para hacer el uso de interpretación, favor de desplazarse a la parte inferior de la pantalla de Zoom, donde aparecen los controles. Haga clic en el icono de interpretación globo terráqueo y seleccione Spanish, español. Si está utilizando la aplicación móvil de Zoom, celular, tableta, etc., presione los puntos suspensivos, 3 puntos, luego interpretación y luego el idioma. Si no desea escuchar el audio original en inglés en el fondo, por favor seleccione Mute Original Audio, silenciar audio original. Contamos con auriculares para el servicio de interpretación si se encuentra en la sala de reunión. Favor de pedirles auriculares con la recepcionista en el vestíbulo. Gracias.
Okay, thank you. I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge the land we call home. The tribal nations of San Diego region has historically faced injustices. We acknowledge the harmony that existed between the land, nature, and its original peoples who have since endured displacement, persecution, and systematic oppression. We pay our respect to the unceded territory and homelands of the 18 tribal nations in our region, the most in any county in the United States, from our cultural groups, the Comayai, the Guiano, Luisiano, Cupeño, Kauai. This land has nourished, healed, protected, and embraced them for many generations in a relationship of balance and harmony. As members of SANDAG community, we acknowledge this legacy. We aspire to learn from Indigenous traditional knowledge and experiences in undoing the injustices of the past. And now please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. And I'll now ask the clerk to confirm that we have a quorum by roll call for attendance, please.
Thank you, Chair. We do have a quorum this morning for Biology Environmental, Lorraine Alquist.
Present.
CEO Private Sector, Sunny House.
Present.
For Contractor Construction, Jacqueline Appleton Dean.
Here.
For Finance and Budgeting, Miriam Babaki.
Here.
Licensed Civil Traffic Engineer is absent. Licensed Engineer, I see Les Hopper online. Les, if you could go ahead and accept the promotion, we'll move you over to a panelist.
Okay. Can we hear him or?
Yes. Can't hear him until you open.
Okay, so we'll get to him later. Well, we have quorum, so I guess we can proceed.
Yes, and real estate right-of-way acquisition is absent. That concludes the roll call.
Okay. All right, thank you. Welcome to the May 14th Independent Taxpayer Oversight Committee, or ITAC. I would like to thank the staff for their efforts for putting this meeting together. There's been a lot of changes and ups and downs, but at the end, they all work together and they bring us this meeting. So thank you very much for all your efforts and all your great work. And also thank you to everyone on the phone and web for taking the time to join us today. And let us quickly talk about how this will work. We'll take in-person public comment, followed by virtual public comments. If you're a member of the public and you're in the room, please submit a speaker slip to the clerk. For the virtual, please continue to raise your virtual hands at the right time. And I also want to make sure that everybody knows that participation is possible in person and via Zoom. Okay, let's get started. Madam Clerk, are there any public comments?
We do not have any public comments.
Are there any member comments? Okay, actually, I do have a comment, and this seems to be the considering the limitations of us being able to put reports together. This is the best place for me to give a very concise report back on the subcommittee effort for the ordinance amendment. The subcommittee of myself, Sunny House, and Frank Rivera, we did some work in that regard. We talked to several of the board members. We listened to them. We heard what they had to say. Obviously, this is a significant effort. It's a ordinance amendment. It's something that the board members obviously take very seriously, and they should, since this is an amendment. For the time being, since we don't have enough time to put a report together, I asked the staff to work with us and with the subcommittee, so we'll bring results back. This is something that's very important for the ITALK. It's a selection committee. I'm glad to hear that the last selection committee went well. We had enough of a quorum to have the Sunny and Jacqueline reappointed, and we have a new member. But I think in the long run, that's something that we want to address. And in the next month's report, we will talk about that. Aside from that, if there are no more comments, we can ask SANDAG Senior Director of Regional Planning, Ms. Antoinette Mayer, to give us an update, please.
All right, thank you, Chair. Good morning. I'm covering for Mario today, who's traveling to Sacramento, meeting with the California Transportation Commission on some of our important projects, Otay Mesa East, and some of our active transportation projects, and also the California Coastal Commission to talk about some of the LoSAN projects, specifically the realignment project and the Del Mar Bluff stabilization project, as well as the beach access project. We have a lot going on in May, so I do have quite a few updates. First, I wanted to share that last week we hosted our first joint working group meeting in the new offices. We brought all SANDAG working groups together for a workshop focused on microtransit. And microtransit is a service that's really grown in popularity. We've heard from the SANDAG board that they want to see more microtransit service, particularly in communities where there isn't good, fast, and frequent transit service available. So we brought together national experts to talk about their experience operating microtransit to help our local transit operators and cities learn more. In preparation for releasing a call for projects, our board approved funding for flexible fleet pilot projects, and we're going to be releasing a call for projects later this summer. So this was an opportunity to share lessons learned with local jurisdictions who might be applying for that funding. So we had Kansas City, we had LA, we had the city of Torrance, and we had Dallas presenting and sharing information. So it was very successful. Congratulations to Susan and her team for getting the budget adopted by the board last Friday, $1.3 billion, of which TransNet makes up about 15% of those SANDAG revenues. This year, we really focused on the fundamentals, the basics, funding all of our mandated activities. And we've started conversations with our board at the board retreat earlier this month on probably coming back with budget amendments to really prioritize and focus funding. So this was a big milestone adopting the budget, but the start of a conversation that we'll continue to have as we go through that prioritization process. We've been going through an IRS audit for SANDAG's Build America bonds, our 2010 Build America bonds, and we were very happy to be notified that that audit is complete and there were no changes or recommendations that emerged. So clean audit, which is always good news. We got some news on the Elvira Morena Losan realignment. This is a double tracking project from a few years ago that we have to do perhaps some stabilization work. There's a retaining wall there that's moving. So we're working with MTS and NCTD and Caltrans on next steps to get that stabilized and then a long-term solution as well. I think you all know we've been working on transitioning to a new back office system. And like with any major technology project, it comes with challenges. We've run into some challenges with the integration of the systems and the exchange of data, and that will delay the launch date for that project. So we're going to be coming and giving regular updates to the board and you all as well on that. Bike Anywhere Day is Thursday, so we've got a lot of staff that are preparing 100 pit stops around the region. We've had about 4,000 people register so far for the event, and of course, we're still trying to get more people to participate in that event. It's a great time for first-time bike riders to, get experience, get some encouragement, and we hear a lot from folks that started biking to work as a result of that event. We are on track to release the NOP, the Notice of Preparation for the Losan Rail Realignment Project later this month. And then we are going to be releasing the draft EIR for the 1578 connector in partnership with Caltrans. That's a TransNet project. And then we're releasing the draft regional plan, the 2025 regional plan, May 23rd. So releasing a lot of things for public comment this month. And then throughout the month of June, we're going to have a number of public outreach events in all of the subregions about the regional plan, as well as a virtual event. And we've been asked to come and give a lot of presentations to different organizations, groups, and city councils as well. So a roadshow starting in June for the 2025 regional plan. So that completes the updates. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions? Yes. And
I have a question about the plan, the regional plan. When you go out to the public, do you highlight what's being delivered out of the TransNet ordinance or not?
We certainly have done that with our PACs and board. So we did a side-by-side comparison of the projects that are in the 2025 plan compared to what's in the TransNet ordinance.
Do you do that for the public as well, or is there any inquiries from the public typically?
Mostly the inquiries that we've gotten have been from our member agencies, but not from members of the public. But certainly we're prepared to answer those questions when we're going out and doing the public outreach.
Okay, thank you.
any other questions? Okay, thank you, Antoinette. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda, we have items number 2 and 3 requiring action.
Chair, I'm so sorry. Before we move on to consent, I have a couple of questions to ask Les to confirm whether or not he qualifies for virtual participation. Les,
Okay.
would you be able to turn your camera on? Hi.
Hey.
So in order to participate virtually, there's certain qualifications you have to meet for just cause or emergencies. And so could you please state the reason for your virtual participation?
I'm not in, I'm on PTO, and I was told that I could just call in and listen, not as an official quorum member, just to make sure I get tallies towards my 50% participation. But I'm actually on vacation right now and was just trying to call in.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, in that case, you don't have to keep your camera on for the meeting. You're welcome to listen, and then and we just will count you as absent in terms of the vote for today's meeting.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry for that interruption. You can go ahead.
Okay.
Well.
Thank you for also the clarification. Okay. All right. Back on the agenda, we're on consent agenda items, and we have items number 2 and 3 requiring action. Are there any questions or any public comments at this point?
We do not have any public comment on consent.
Member comments?
Yes, can we pull 3?
Okay,
Thanks. Oh, and 6, if you want to.
sure.
Sorry, you
We'll
were talking
take,
about 2 and 3. Thank you.
Okay,
Consent.
number 3 and 6, okay. Same for you? Okay. See, I just want to see number 3, completion, and number 6. Bikeway program. Okay. Aside from those, can we get a motion to approve the remaining consent agenda?
I move to approve.
Moved by Sunny,
I'll second that.
seconded by Lorraine. And all in favor, please. Can you take a call, please?
For biology environmental, Lorraine Alquist.
Approve.
For CEO private sector, Sunny House.
Approved.
For contractor construction, Jacqueline Appleton Dean.
Approve.
For finance and budgeting, Chair Babaki.
Yes.
Licensed civil traffic engineer, licensed engineer, and real estate right of way acquisition are absent. That motion does pass.
Okay, thank you. Item number 3.
Okay, I had a question and I, hopefully I don't confuse because there's a lot of information in this one, but there was 6 points on, let's see, it was, I believe it was the first one that was TPA was 2015, item number was 17. And on the last one, it says rate of serious or fatal bike crashes in areas where bike paths and lanes have been created. And it's, in the information, it said it would be included in, it said, I think, future annual reports. Is it included now currently, or will it be included? I tried to look around for information, but I couldn't find it anywhere. So I didn't know if it was something that would be upcoming.
So this is Rachel Kennedy, and I can provide some additional information. So and SANDAG recently did the Vision Zero action plan for the region and has included information about bike fatalities within that report. And it's something that we're going to be tracking and providing an annual report on all types of traffic fatalities, including bicycle fatalities, and then tracking additional information in the future about where we have made bike facility improvements and fatalities that we may be seeing in those adjacent areas.
Okay, so what report will it be included in? I'm sorry, I was confused on where it was.
We're going to be having an annual safety report. That's one of our implementation actions from the Vision Zero action plan.
Okay.
And we'll be including information there.
Okay, thanks, Rachel. I
Sure.
appreciate that. And then let's see, one more. Year 2018, item 3. Wait a minute, is that the one? TransNet ordinance.
So I think this was the one that's the comparison between what's in the regional plan and the TransNet projects.
Right.
And we've,
Oh, and I wondered where it's going to be located on the website.
there's links there for the meetings that we've presented this to. And
Right,
and
but I mean, moving forward, like as a, where will it live?
on the website, I don't know. We haven't, I mean, outside of the agenda reports, we don't have a place right now, but we certainly could add that to the.
Well, it just says regular track and report TransNet programs financial capacity.
So the 25 plan is not approved yet, but once it is, in the spirit of transparency, it would be nice to have for the public to know what's the difference or what's being done. I know there's an amendment eventually coming in, but is that something that can be done?
So on the TransNet dashboard right now, we have a matrix and it shows what was in the ordinance, what was in the 21 plan, and what the difference is. That will be updated with the 2025 plan once that's approved. And so that lives on the TransNet dashboard.
Perfect.
And that was part of another performance audit, correct?
Correct. The matrix that was established through the project office to throw up on the TransNet dashboard. Yes, we are tracking on that.
Okay, sorry. There was a lot of information in this one
Yes.
little, and I'm just trying to catch up. So I have, so therefore lots of questions. And it's mostly where information lives. Like a link to a meeting to me is, you know, I mean, people can dig it through, but if, because there's the ordinance and I can find that on the website clearly. If there's changes to what's going to be built or not built, especially TransNet related, I think that should potentially live in that same area.
Okay, we can take a look at that and
Yeah.
put that actually on the sandag.org website as well as the TransNet dashboard.
Yeah, if,
Yeah, I mean,
like I
it's-
said, makes sense.
Sure.
Okay, and then my third comment, let's see, was regarding, oh, it's this one. I think it's the 2024 item number 1. And this was the dashboard itself. And it was the tracking against the ordinance, major corridor plan pledges as at a detailed location, boundary and scope level to be able to demonstrate what actual improvements were made. And it seems like when I go to the dashboard, it's great. There's a scope of a project. I have to assume that that was built according to the ordinance. It seems. Is there something that says it is? Okay.
So it's actually the matrix itself.
Okay.
So
So it's,
it's on the dashboard, and then you scroll like halfway down, there's a link to a matrix that Chelsea and the project office put together. And it kind of breaks out like it says what the ordinance improvement scope would be. And then it has a breakdown by CIP, so by segment that
Okay.
we're building it. What was the scope of segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, as it ties back to the overall ordinance scope and limits. And so you can see how the ordinance is being built in accordance to the original scope and limits boundaries that was in the ordinance.
okay. So, and this is a suggestion, since I'm pretty new here, I mean, I do have familiarity with the dashboard, but we are going to have a new member. Have you done kind of a run through of the dashboard for this group in the not so distant? If you haven't, I mean, maybe that would be a good thing. It's a lot of information and
Yeah,
to kind
we
of,
haven't done one in a while. We are also, though, in an effort to actually integrate the dashboard with sandag.org. So a year from now, we probably will have a dashboard that is more integrated with the website and a little bit newer. So we could definitely do one in the near term to show the existing format, but just know that we're also working on improvements for display of information.
And the other thing that we will be doing, we do the iTalk a new member orientation, where we do spend a little bit of time in there on this is the dashboard, and we provide you with information. But certainly we know that it's a lot and overwhelming information that you walk away with after that. So to come back and give you an update on a yearly basis, like this is the dashboard, there's a ton of information on it. That the point of it is to be accountable and transparent to the public. So we definitely want iTalk to be aware of it, and we want the public to be aware of it. So anything that we can do to create visibility for that, that's something that we need to do.
yeah. And I mean, I'm looking at it through the lens of the public.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. So that's why I just see some difficulties in navigating. Not that the information isn't there, but how do I retrieve it? Okay, thanks a lot.
If I could make a suggestion, maybe once that 2025 plan is approved and dashboard is updated, maybe we can have a demonstration showing that, plus really what's on there. Would that work? That would be probably sometime in the fall.
The plan will be approved in December, so.
December?
Yeah, so it would
Oh,
be early
okay.
next year.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. If you want sooner, then we can have a demo sooner on the dashboard.
I'm sorry.
The dashboard,
Right.
if you want to have it one sooner, we could do that as well. So
I mean, it just, yeah, I would like it whenever it can be provided.
Okay.
Let's talk to staff and see if we can arrange for that, you know.
Yeah, we'll,
Yeah.
we'll put it on an upcoming agenda and then we can bring it back after the regional plan once we have incorporated those as well. No problem.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And Jacqueline, I really want to say thank you. It's so good to get a new, fresh eyes on what's going on. Sometimes we get so used to seeing the same thing, and we just don't think about what's really missing. So I really appreciate you know, somebody coming in and not having seen it all, and so brings into focus what is really needed. So thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, the other question was on number 6. Oh, sorry.
this one, do we want to approve this one first, or
What's that?
do we want to approve this item first because it's item 3?
Sure.
It's separate.
If there are no more questions on item number 3. Can I have a motion?
I move to approve number 3.
A second?
I'll second that.
Okay, can we have Jacqueline making the motion, Lorraine seconding. Can we have a roll call, please?
Thank you. For Biology Environmental, Lorraine Alquist.
Approve.
For CEO Private Sector, Sunny House.
Approved.
For Contractor Construction, Jacqueline Appleton Dean.
Approve.
For Finance and Budgeting, Chair Babaki.
Yes,
And Licensed Civil Traffic Engineer, Licensed Engineer, and Real Estate Right-of-Way Acquisition are absent. That motion passes unanimously.
okay.
Jacqueline and I both have questions on number 6. It might be the same thing. So there was a sentence in the report that really caught my eye, and it had to do with the Caltrans Construction Cost Index and the fact that it increased 49.1% between quarter 2 and quarter 3. And there was no really explanation of why. So it's a big number. And how does that impact bids and things like that? So does someone have oh, are you going to do it, David? You're
Yes.
so far away.
Good morning. My name is David Cortez. I'm the Director of Engineering and Construction. Yes, so the Caltrans index measures highway construction prices, and those more reflect what we're doing, right? Both in the major corridors and the bike program that you see here. So yes, those prices are reflective of the prices we're seeing in our bids.
But in one quarter to go that much, how is that impacting all your estimates and bids and things like that?
So let me see this past quarter, we opened 2 bids. One was San Onofre to Pulgas, and they came in reasonably close to the engineer's estimate, around less than 10%, but we opened a university as well, and that was a little bit impactful as far as the engineer's estimate came in around like 25% over the engineer's estimate. So that's where we saw that.
Is this 49%, is that an average of all the bids, or is there one big project that created this anomaly?
That I will have to get back to you. This is a Caltrans
Okay.
index that we just started receiving this quarter.
Okay.
So we'll investigate more
Okay.
where that
Yeah, because
came from.
that's really alarming. I mean, if that's 49% is a lot. So is this a trend, or is this just one big spike or something? That's what I wanted to know. So if you could let us.
So we don't know. The trend is trending up, but there's so much uncertainty right now in the market that it's creating a really tough environment to estimate the prices and estimate the projects.
Yeah. Do you know if this is related at all to the tariffs or threat of tariffs and things like that?
I do not know that answer.
Okay. All right. That would be great if you could get more information. Thank you, David.
So David, you're saying that 49% or is based on just 2 bids?
I think Naomi, our economist,
okay.
can probably weigh in on this a little bit.
That's true.
Apologies, I don't have a name tag. Naomi Young, Principal Economist, and we monitor the construction cost index along with inflation in the general economy. One of the things that we're seeing right now is that the Caltrans index is showing and has traditionally showed extreme volatility in prices. It's one of the data points that goes into our escalation factors. It's not the only one. The leading pieces that we look at is the ENR CCI construction cost index, which is actually telling a slightly different story, mostly because it's a narrower perspective in terms of the cost inputs that are tracked. We're also seeing that in terms of inflation, the most recent inflation numbers show that the recent impact of tariffs has not flowed through the economy yet. So CPI actually has come down nationally along with Los Angeles and San Francisco. Not surprising, because what we've seen with the tariffs is that a lot of businesses did precautionary spending, bringing forward purchases on inventory and materials that have not yet flowed through their operation system. So we expect that that cost bubble, if it does materialize, will be delayed for a couple of months.
Okay. Just my request is, if we're going to have these items on consent, and it'd be nice to have this, a little bit of an explanation as to what happened. And you have a very nice long report, but I just, that caught my eye, so. Okay. I do have another question, and this is for the major corridor yearly expenditure. I see that, you know, compared to a few years ago, which probably had to do with Mid-Coast and all that, we had really high expenditure, but we are lowering, or actually with the I-5, we're going really down, like FY 24 and now FY 25. It's very limited in expenditure. So, David, I'm just wondering, is this the trend? Is this just a slow period? We don't have a lot of things in construction. How do you foresee future here? I mean, we're not delivering a lot. So that's my question.
I don't have a full answer, but I can tell you that as the North Coast Corridor winds down, it's less expenditures on that project. But certainly we have other projects that are major corridors that are coming online. Chelsea?
Yeah, I did want to point out, this is only reflective of TransNet major corridors. So we have a few other major capital projects that aren't included in this, like David was mentioning, San Onofre to Pulgas double track that's going to be starting, and a few others related to like the Del Mar Bluffs. So while this is definitely, like you said, trending downwards because Mid-Coast, North Coast Corridor winding down, we have some major capital improvements that are going to be starting up that aren't reflected in this.
So in the major corridor, this is going to be, we're going to be seeing this more on a regular basis, because we're focusing on the rail and some of those other projects like the Otay Mesa East and other things. Is that what's happening?
And yeah, once Otay Mesa East is in construction, this actually will start trending upwards, because
Okay,
that would
that's
be
included.
captured. Yep, that's what would be
Okay.
included there.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That was all my questions.
I just had a couple questions, David. You answered most of them, but the two projects that opened, were they both bike projects, or was one of them a bike project?
One, the university is a bike project, and San Onofre to Pulgas is a double track
Okay.
LoSAN project.
Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the name of the project. And which one was 10 and which one was 25% over
The San Onofre to Pulgas, if I recall correctly, was around less than 10% of the engineer's
Okay.
estimate. And the university is the one that was a little higher.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that job, so I don't know how much it is. But at what point over the engineer's estimate do you have to kind of pull back and say, okay, maybe we need to do something different? Or do you just forge ahead? Because I mean, as Sunny pointed out and your report pointed out, it seems like we're headed into some uncharted territories here.
Great question. And so we did a little bit of history. We did open, we had to re-advertise this project because the first time we didn't have enough programmed in the project, but we went back and tried to cut where we could. There is types of funding that we can only do so much because we're in jeopardy of losing the grant that we applied for. So we re-advertise it, and this time it came in within budget, within the contingency budget. So that was our strategy. Looking forward, we're reanalyzing again our bids or our estimate and see if we could get closer.
Okay. Thanks for that info.
I guess I have a follow-up. Just, you're in the planning process of the RTP, and if there are these types of cost anomalies, how do you account for constrained and unconstrained funds, or how much you can deliver when there's so much uncertainty? Just curious.
Well, keep in mind that the regional plan is a very long-range plan. So yes, we see, ups and downs, but in general, we capture that over the course of the life of the plan. So we update the cost estimates when we, update the plan, and projects that we can't afford go in the unconstrained, and then everything that's in the constrained plan are projects that we anticipate that we'll be able to find funding for.
And there's no plan for more early action or earlier delivery of anything in the 2025.
So we look at two timeframes in the regional plan, projects between 2025 and 2035, the first 10 years of the plan, and those are what we consider our early action projects.
Okay.
Those projects are really focused on the required VMT and GHG reductions. There's a number of rapid bus projects, managed lane projects in the early years of the plan. And then 2035 to 2050 are longer term projects, things like the Purple Line, major rail project that's going to take, at least 20 years to plan and deliver.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Thank you, David. And with that, can we have a motion to approve item number 6, please?
I move to approve.
Can we get a second?
I believe item 6 is actually an information item.
Wasn't it in the
It
consent?
was information only.
Okay.
Yes. So I'll take my motion back.
Okay, never mind then. And I take my request back. Okay. That's true. That's correct. Okay. We go on. Just a lot of food for thought. Those were great questions. We go on to reports. TransNet Smart Growth Incentive Program Project Amendment by this. Goldie Herban.
Good morning, Chair Babaki. My name is Goldie Herban. I'm a grants analyst here at SANDAG, and today I'm here to present a TransNet Smart Growth Incentive Program project amendment. The Smart Growth Incentive Program provides funding for local transportation projects, such as public infrastructure projects and planning activities that promote compact, mixed-use, transit-oriented development that also increases housing and transportation choices. SANDAG has held and awarded 5 cycles of smart growth funding, beginning with cycle 1 in 2009, and our latest awarded cycle was cycle 5 in 2022. The cycle numbers and available grant dollars per cycle are in the bar chart on the left. The overall investment the Smart Growth Incentive Program have contributed to the county is $59.7 million. The pie chart on the right demonstrates that about 79% or 47 million has gone to capital construction projects, whereas 21% or about 12 million has been awarded to planning projects. Last month, the call for projects for the 6th cycle of the Smart Growth Incentive Program closed. The cycle will distribute $45 million in Smart Growth Incentive Program funding, the most in a single cycle to date. We received 46 applications, and they were received by 16 local jurisdictions. They requested over $79 million in funding. The funding recommendation will be anticipated to be brought to ITALC, PACS, and the board later this fall. So the County of San Diego is the grantee requesting the Smart Growth Incentive Program amendment before you today for their community-based transportation program. The county's planning project will provide guidance on how communities countywide can evaluate their existing transportation infrastructure and identify opportunities consistent with the county's transportation's goals, policies, and plans. The project will include a toolbox of mobility solutions that communities can draw from to form a neighborhood mobility plan, or NMP for short. During the Smart Growth Incentive Program Cycle 5, again in 2022, the county was awarded $500,000 to complete 4 NMPs for 4 unincorporated areas in the county, which will analyze how to better connect SANDAG mobility hubs and recommend future implementation actions. The NMP focuses on the needs of the communities and outlines a pathway to equitable access to all forms of transportation. So the unincorporated areas that will develop an NMP is listed and shown on the map on this slide. They include Buena Creek near the city of Vista, Valle de Oro, which is just south of the city of El Cajon, and the communities of Lakeside and Spring Valley. For a little bit of project history, so again, the county and SANDAG entered into an agreement in 2022 for a Smart Growth Cycle 5. In January of 2024, the county issued a notice to proceed to the contractor to begin work on the project. A year later, in January 2025, the county requested a 6-month schedule amendment. In March, the county completed the first draft NMP for the Buena Creek study area called Buena Creek Moves. So this is the county's first amendment request, and they're requesting a 6-month time extension. The cause of delays has been attributed to contracting delays, additional internal coordination, and realignment with other county efforts. If the extension is granted, the project will be completed at the end of March in 2026. If not awarded the extension, the county would be unable to complete the project's scope of work by the existing deadline of September 27, 2025. Under the proposed amended schedule, the NMP for Lakeside will begin outreach at that time. Without the remaining grant funding, county staff would need to be reallocated from other high priority projects and take on outreach responsibilities previously handled by a consultant. Limited staff ability may also delay outreach efforts and could impact the final deliverable timeline. The county has already committed matching at least 41% of project costs and continues to streamline the project, working on multiple pilot communities simultaneously to reduce the extension needed due to contracting delays at the start of the project. The county is confident that with the extension, the project can be completed by March 2026. To date, the project has invoiced just over $136,000, which is 27% of the grant award. The amount remaining is just over $363,000. It's important to note that while the initial effort for the first NMP, the Buena Creek NMP, was time intensive, it laid the groundwork for accelerating the production of the remaining NMPs 2 through 4. The remaining NMPs will be streamlined and will be on an accelerated timeline as compared to the first one. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions. County staff are also here to take any project questions should you have any. And again, staff is seeking an ITALC recommendation to TC to approve a 6-month time extension for the County of San Diego project.
Thank you, Goldie. Madam Clerk, are there any public comments?
Thank you, Chair. We have no public comments.
Member comments? Yes, please, Lauren, go ahead.
Well, thank you very much for the detailed review of how the projects are going. My question kind of lies in that track from a perspective of lessons learned and that baseline of spending the $136,000, and then collectively that's for all 4 projects, the budget. That seems like quite an assumption as far as what is going to be remaining and still available for the other three projects. So just being transparent on what those lessons learned are and how those are going to be implemented on the future projects.
Future projects meaning outside of the county's project?
No, just those
Oh,
other
the four
three
within?
projects.
I mean, I'm not sure I quite understand your question. I think that they spent about 27% of their funds and they have 4 projects, so about a quarter of funds. I mean, it's slightly over, but I think like on the front end, there's a lot of foundational work that needs to be done because they have to.
Why don't we have the county come up and respond to the question?
Sure.
We can't hear you.
One more time?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I'm Caroline Shabo. I'm the project manager. As Goldie mentioned, we have spent about 27% of the funding. That included creating the community-based transportation plan, which is a template that we are now putting our neighborhood mobility plans into. So a large portion of that beginning funding went into a template that we are now able to replicate at a much more efficient way, both financially and with time. So we don't anticipate the spend to be nearly the same for each of the remaining 3 communities. It'll be quite a bit smaller because of that initial effort that took place in the first year of the project.
Thank you very much. In addition to my question as far as lessons learned, for the remaining projects, is those delays that you experienced before and then requesting for the 6-month extension, do you anticipate, I mean, it's kind of the basis from some of our other discussion on additional costs, even though this is a plan and doesn't account for buying infrastructure, et cetera. But is that those delays being accounted for, and were there some mitigating circumstances that you don't anticipate on the other projects?
Yes, so most of or all of the delays took place sort of before we began the project. They came down to contracting delays. Bringing on the consultant took significantly longer than anticipated. And so once the project began, we started working on the neighborhood simultaneously in order to make up for as much of that extra time as possible. So we don't anticipate any further delays, and in fact, have been moving on schedule since the start of the project last January.
Great to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that the same consultant for all projects?
It is, yes.
All right. So yeah, that'll be streamlined. You have them on board. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. Oh, Sunny has one. No. Oh, Jackie.
Sorry.
Okay. More questions.
So in the material, it talks about redistributing $50,000 of grant funding to support. Is that part of our vote? Does that make sense? Or no, it's just the $500,000? Just the delay, I mean. I'm sorry, just the delay.
It's not part of it.
Okay.
It's just a simple reallocation, and the result of moving that fund is because the county in the beginning of the project, they were anticipating needing to go to planning commissions and their board of supervisors, but management has decided that this is more of a visioning document and not a document that requires any policy or regulatory approval. So those funds are being shifted to more public outreach, more robust public outreach to these communities to foster that community-focused approach.
Okay, yes, that's what I mean, that was clear. I just didn't know if okay.
It's just a schedule extension, what you're recommending today.
Thanks.
Yeah, no worries.
Is the county contributing to this project as well, or is it all being done under the grant fund?
We have committed to matching 41% of the grant funding, so we are committed that much at this time.
Okay, so there is additional funds to be had.
There is.
And I guess my question is, this is a community plan. Did you not anticipate that there will be public input? Or how is it that you're reallocating the funds?
So we had planned for and scheduled for pretty extensive community outreach from the start of the project, as it is community-based. So we've been able to add additional opportunities for folks, knowing that we now do not have to allocate those funds towards putting together PC and board documents and presentations. So it's just an additional level of outreach that we are able to achieve in this shortened timeline that we're working within to get just a little bit more feedback.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you the question. You are confident that if this is extended, that you will be able to complete the project within the time frame that you have anticipated?
Absolutely, we are.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that was very confident. So that sounds great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I can move to approve or make recommendations to approve the extension.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Sunny making the motion, Laura in second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Thank you for Biology Environmental, Lorraine Alquist. Approved. For CEO Private Sector, Sunny House.
Approved.
For Contractor Construction, Jacqueline Appleton Dean.
Approved.
For Finance Budgeting, Chair Babaki.
Yes.
And the remaining positions are absent. That motion passed unanimously.
Okay, thank you. Our next item number 9, TransNet Senior Mini Grant Program. And Ali Vasquez, yes.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Nice to see you all. Can you hear me okay? And I
Pull it closer to your mouth. Yeah.
I'm either too close or too far away. It's never the perfect Goldilocks mix. Okay. Hopefully that's all right. Hi, everyone. My name is Ali Vasquez, and I'm the program manager for the Specialized Transportation Grant Program, otherwise known as the SCGP. And I'm excited to be able to present to you all the results of the Cycle 13 Call for Projects. And today we're going to talk about the Call for Projects eligibility. So first things first, senior mini grants are part of the STGP, which funds projects and programs in the San Diego region that expands mobility option for older adults. Older adults and individuals with disabilities when fixed route public transit is insufficient, unavailable, or inappropriate. So in other words, the SCGP as a whole really steps up when fixed routes such as the rail or bus services cannot for these particular individuals. Funding from the SCGP comes from 2 sources, the Section 5310 FTA program and the TransNet Senior Mini Grant Program. And we hold a call for projects or a competitive cycle, as we call it, typically around every 2 years. Today, we're going to discuss the TransNet portion of this funding call. So first, here's a quick review of the SMG call. TransNet Senior Mini Grants can fund operating grants such as volunteer driver programs or mobility management grants such as transportation information and referrals or travel trainings. We had about 2.8 million available through this funding source, and the minimum grant application was $50K and the maximum grant application was 1 million. Lastly, since we last met with iTalk regarding the solicitation, indirect costs were decided to be allowable if the applicant included a proposed indirect cost rate in its application, and that proposed indirect cost rate did not exceed the applicant's federally negotiated indirect cost rate or the de minimis rate that is allowed by the Code of Federal Regulations or the CFR. Before taking a look at the results, I'd like to reflect on the call for projects process so far. So SANDAG underwent a thorough process for this call starting in 2024, including meeting with the ITALK and applicable committees. We first solicited input from specialized transportation stakeholders, then spoke with ITALK about the evaluation criteria, as well as TC, and then ultimately the board approved in June so that we could release the call for projects, and they also approved the evaluation criteria. We released the call subsequently in July 2024, and the application closed the following October. We then reviewed applications for eligibility and responsiveness, and then had external evaluators review the applications using the criteria the board approved. The funding recommendations were developed based on the final application scores, and we're here today to discuss the results. So here's a slide that shows the previously approved evaluation criteria categories. So as mentioned earlier, the proposed criteria were informed in part from your feedback. Applications were reviewed based on their applicant experience, capacity and readiness, need and equity, operational or implementation plan, stewardship, coordination and outreach, as well as environmental responsibility, performance measures, and monitoring and outcomes. Additionally, we proposed past performance adjustments as an evaluation criterion to not only provide greater transparency to the ITALK and potential applicants, but also to discourage poor performance and reward strong performance of existing STGP grantees. Past performance adjustments is actually something that has been employed in the STGP since 2012 or cycle 7. We like to go by cycles with our grant funding. And at that time, SANDAG staff worked with a subcommittee of the Social Services Transportation Advisory Council, or the ASTAC, to develop the proposed methodology to incorporate past performance so that grantees' past performance could go into the final scoring and rankings for project funding. Past performance scores were graded in an objective fashion based on a standardized monitoring checklist that we did have peer reviewed before implementing. Existing grantees also had the opportunity to review and sign off on their monitoring scores, and SANDAG staff did hold one-on-one meetings with the grantees when applying the scores. As stated, when SANDAG introduced the criteria to ITALK last year, the past performance adjustment criterion could not be applied to new applicants because there was nothing to score based upon it because they didn't have past performance. As mentioned in the report, 9 applications were submitted for the SMG program that requested a cumulative amount of $3.5 million. Which was 25% over the amount we had available. The oversubscription of the program illustrates the demand for transportation services for older adults across our region. This oversubscription has actually also occurred consistently during the last 5 funding cycles for the SMG. Based on the evaluation process, 5 projects were recommended for full funding and 1 was recommended for partial funding. The senior mini grant funding recommendations are shown in attachment 1 in the staff report and are summarized on this slide for you. All projects are continuation projects from prior cycles, and funding will support volunteer driver programs, information and referral services, or rideshare services. The recommended projects also advance our goal and objectives for the program, align with the priorities in SANDAG's most recent 2020 coordinated plan. And the coordinated plan is a 5-year planning document that is updated every 4 years, that assesses specialized transportation needs and available services, identifies gaps in services, and establishes funding priorities. The request before you today is to review the projects recommended for funding to ensure consistency with the TransNet ordinance. So no SANDAG presentation will be complete without a map. So this is our map. This map shows the service areas of the SMG projects recommended to receive funding. It illustrates that a broad geographic distribution of program funding would occur. The service areas of the projects recommended grade 8 out, with most transportation services overlapping in the center and the least projects overlapping in the north, south, and unincorporated portions of the region. If the projects are approved by the board, this means that SMG projects would provide funding for these organizations to traverse older adults throughout the entire region, but more providers will allow older adults to travel to destinations in the central and eastern part of San Diego County, including the jurisdictions of San Diego, La Mesa, Lemon Grove, and El Cajon. As far as next steps, the STGP Cycle 13 funding recommendations will be brought to the Transportation Committee on May 16th, and then the board is scheduled to consider approval on May 30th. Pending board approval and assuming the board does not deviate from the funding recommendations, the projects will be programmed into the Regional Transportation Improvement Program, or the RTIP. The RTIP is a 5-year investment plan that identifies projects and programs the San Diego region proposes. Next, we will hold a successful applicant webinar, unsuccessful applicant debriefs, and prepare grant agreements for execution. Awarded projects will start on a rolling basis as their Cycle 12 grants close out, but projects will start no sooner than July 1st at the start of the SANDAG fiscal year. So that concludes my presentation. I welcome any questions or comments. Again, just as a reminder, the ITALK is requested to review for confirmation of consistency with the TransNet ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any public comments?
There are no public comments on this item.
Okay, member comments?
Yes, I had a question. So just wanted to make sure I understood this. You had 6 projects that you're recommending. Is that true?
Hello, sorry.
Hi.
Yes.
Okay. And did you say there was 9 applicants?
Yes,
And then you said that all 6 projects were continuations.
they are.
And so the other 3 applicants, were there any brand new applicants? Just
No, there
curious.
actually wasn't.
Okay. so
That's
they
a
were
great
all
question.
continuations.
We don't often get a lot of new applicants. I did run the analysis, so we will be doing more outreach. We actually didn't have any jurisdictions that applied, and it's kind of been going down on a downward trend, and that's something that we want to take a greater look at and do better outreach. Thanks for asking.
Okay, I just wanted to understand that. Thank you.
Thanks for the presentation and thanks for incorporating the TPA comments. Appreciate it. So the demand was higher than what's allocated. What can be done to increase? Is there a way to increase that, the amount of funding available, or is that set by percentage or something?
Well, so TransNet is our smaller funding source. We do have the 5310 program, which is much bigger. So some folks that didn't get funded here, they are able to get funding through the 5310 program. But TransNet, the funding fluctuates. It's based off of tax revenue. So I imagine there's a bit of a transition period because sometimes we have more funding and then sometimes we have less funding available. But I will say that the board did ask us to add specialized transportation to our legislative agenda, and staff continues to look for outside sources or even inside sources. We are constantly looking for ways that we could perhaps roll over funds from our 5310 program, for example, to try and continue to fund these important services. Yeah.
Now, I know this was the first year that you added criteria, excuse me, that needed because of the TPA recommendations. Just wondering, did you have any feedback from the applicants? Was there people that may have not wanted to submit because it was more cumbersome? Was there anything like that?
No, we didn't have any feedback, and we do have protest procedures. Once the solicitation comes out, applicants or any member of the public has the opportunity to provide comments on the solicitation. And then also when the notices of award, of intent to award comes out, there's a 7-day opportunity for protest procedures, and we didn't receive any comments.
So what's the mechanism for them now to report back on performance and things like that once they receive the grant?
Once they receive the grant, we do report quarterly to the Transportation Committee on progress. We also report biannually to the ITALC, and Goldie will be here for that.
So they'll provide performance information
They
now
will.
that would be
Yes.
reported back.
Every grantee has to submit reports to us at least quarterly.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. I think that's for all the questions. Thank you very much, Ali.
Thank you.
We're on to our last item, item number 10, draft 2025 ITALC annual report. Adrian and Vanessa.
Madam Chair, I didn't know, was there a different packet that was put on that had the report? Because my packet did not have the report, so I have not seen it.
So I could answer that. So it was added to the report at a later time. However, we're actually going to be presenting on a even more updated version right now. So we'll put it up on the screen for your kind of review, and we'll also provide you one. All right, so here's the first page. All right, so good morning, ITALC members. Vanessa and I are pleased to present the first draft of the 2025 ITALC annual report for your review and feedback. As you're, like I mentioned earlier, I would like to sincerely apologize. The version of the draft report included in the agenda packet was an earlier one. We appreciate your understanding, and we're here to provide you an updated, more enhanced version for your review. As you may recall, at the February 12th meeting, the ITALC directed staff to begin preparation of the year's report. Thanks to dedicated efforts from the team, we have now a comprehensive draft ready for your consideration. We'll walk through the report section by section, so please follow along as best as you can. All right, so here we have the cover letter. We'll begin with the cover letter, which features imagery highlighting various elements of the TransNet program and regional mobility. It sets a visual tone for the report. And we'll move on to page 1 on the right-hand side, which is the chair's letter and overview. So this page includes a letter from the ITALC chair. Thank you very much, Chair Babaki, for all your help getting it together. So this reinforces the committee's commitment to transparency and accountability in managing the TransNet funds. Some key elements in here is a summary of the ITALC's oversight role, an update on the triennial performance audit, noting 79 of the 110 items have been completed, and some more brief overview of the structure of how the report will be like in the following pages. Also, we have a little bit of a table of contents and the ITALC membership, which addresses everyone. I do want to note that this will be there's still one more update needed, as was our vacant position has just been filled, so that will be addressed. And there'll be other slight adjustments as the year follows, because this is to encompass 2025 and we're still in the fiscal year now. So there'll be slight modifications, like the 79 will also be updated to, I think 80 is, we have one more closeout for next month coming to your attention. All right, so we can move on to page 2, please. All right, so on page 2 on your left, You'll find this kind of outlines this selection. This is the selection outlines of the 2025 iTalks goals, accompanied by the status updates for each, providing kind of a snapshot of the progress throughout the year. On page 3 and 4, but just focus on page 3 right now. This page will provide an update on implementation of the triennial performance audit recommendations. So as noted at February's meeting, the ITALK requested more visuals, less narrative heavy content. So in response, we've included an enhanced graphics, including new charts sourced from the TPA quarterly reports, which is also referenced in today's item 10 in today's agenda. Like I stated just a few moments ago, this will also be updated as we continue to have progress within the triennial performance audit in the next coming months. All right, and if we could scroll down just a little bit for me to page 4 and 5. So as I noted on page 3, there is also more graphic content here for the triennial performance audit. And then we get to page 5, which is the fiscal and compliance audit results. This section provides just an overview of the audit findings to date. So please keep in mind that these are still the initial results, and we are awaiting outcomes of the 2024 fiscal and compliance audit. So this section will be also updated prior to July's presentation for our final report. And with that, I now hand it over to Vanessa, who will walk us through the second half of the draft. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. And now we move on to page number 6. Here you'll find the TransNet funding highlights for fiscal years 2025 through 2029. This section includes charts that compare TransNet dollars to other funding sources, along with detailed breakdown of funding by each TransNet sub-program. Next, on the left, we have the TransNet project highlights. This section outlines priority projects and key initiatives with summaries of major accomplishments and upcoming milestones. As Adrian mentioned earlier, this section will be updated. The attachment in your packet is an earlier version, so we will have this section updated to only focus on TransNet projects. For example, if we scroll onto page number 9, the Housing Acceleration Program, that will be removed as the grant program is not funded through TransNet. Moving on to the following page on your, I believe, let's see. Yeah, next page, please. Thank you. Okay, we go next page. Oh, the following one, please, and thank you. Yeah, thank you. And the last page will be a section dedicated to the public engagement. It outlines how readers can get involved, attend iTalk meetings, and submit questions and more. And with that, that wraps up our presentation. At this time, we're asking the committee to please review the draft and share any feedback or suggestions you may have. Looking ahead, the final report will be brought back for your approval on July 9th and presented to the board is scheduled for July 25th. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to address them. Thank you.
Are there any public comments?
We do have one public comment. Marco Espinosa, you can go ahead.
Hello, good. Is it still morning, afternoon? Morning, sorry. Good morning, Marcos Espinosa. I first just want to say thank you to TransNet. I don't know a ton about it. I say thank you in the sense that in my use of public transportation, I have noticed the little TransNet logo at certain locations. So you're clearly part of the process, the system, the infrastructure. So thank you for what you do for that, because getting around town is important. So, and I do notice that TransNet locations are nice and clean, and so yeah, I appreciate that. I really do. Clean public transportation, safe public transportation is good transportation. So is on time and reliable. Just throw it out there. So thank you for all that. And then it's like, oh, my second item for the bikes. I know tomorrow morning is the big bike day and whatnot. In my noticing of the advertising from SANDAG for the bikes, it always seems as if it's a very recreational sort of thing. But then like in the wording, it's always like, oh, take it to work, take it to the grocery store. But like that doesn't really work with the American lifestyle, like with how much stuff we have and how many kids we have and and how far apart everything, like, when you go to work, you dress in a certain fashion. So it's like, you're not going to get all sweaty and stuff on a bike going to work 10 miles away. But the advertising, it makes it seem as if, the photos will be like, people in their sports gear on a Saturday or something, like, but that's not every day. And what about when it rains? Like, I get it, it's San Diego, it doesn't rain much, but still, it does rain. Anyway, that's were my comments. Thank you very much to all of you.
That concludes the public comments.
Thank you. Any member comments?
Oh, so question. Yeah, I have not read the report and you said to provide comments. Were you expecting comments during this meeting or is there another format to give you comments or a way to give you comments?
Yeah, so any feedback off of this first draft would be great. Any comments would be great. However, we could bring you back a second draft and kind of if there's any comments from now that you have, we can start making those edits for a second draft for next month. There's no real timeline to get this done as we're still in the fiscal year, right? So we could bring this back again next month with any comments or updates you would like. I just want to note to Member Sunny, I kept the integrity of the cover letter. I paid a lot of attention to the cover letter for that.
And as for the chair letter, that's also a draft. So all input is welcome.
Great, thank you. So if we could have this copy or somehow have access to it. I think it was different on the.
Yeah, we can
Right.
send you a copy of the updated one. And if you have any comments or questions, you can send them through email as well, and we'll
Okay.
take those into account.
Great, thanks so much.
So we don't need to wait for the next month's agenda. You can send it to us earlier. Okay, good.
Our timeline is July, right, for approval? Because you have to close the fiscal year anyway, correct?
Yeah, so there'll be some closeout documents that still need to happen to make
Yeah.
sure that we have the final numbers for the fiscal year. So
So we can provide comments in the June meeting and then final we'll see for approval in July, something like that.
yep, that time works.
Okay.
Yes.
And the updated document will be posted to the website just as a sense of transparency for other people to access that, correct?
Yeah, we'll work with clerk of the board to have the agenda updated with the newer version.
Okay. Okay. If there are no more comments, we are coming to adjournment. Our next iTalk meeting scheduled for Wednesday, June 11th at 9:30. We'll see you all there and I get to use this.